The Rwandan genocide occurred between the 7th of April and the 15th of July 1994 during the Rwandan Civil War. During this period of around 100 days, members of the Tutsi minority ethnic group, as well as some moderate Hutu, were slaughtered by armed militias. The most widely accepted scholarly estimates are around 500,000 to 600,000 Tutsi deaths. In 1990, the Rwandan Patriotic Front, a rebel group composed of Tutsi refugees, invaded northern Rwanda from their base in Uganda, initiating the Rwandan Civil War. Neither side was able to gain a decisive advantage in the war, and the Rwandan government led by President Juvenal Habyarimana signed the Arusha Accords with the RPF or Rwanda Patriotic Front on 4 August 1993. Many historians argue that a genocide against the Tutsi had been planned for at least a year. However, Habyarimana's assassination on April 6, 1994 created a power vacuum and ended peace accords. Genocidal killings began the following day when soldiers, police, and militia executed key Tutsi and moderate Hutu military and political leaders. The scale and brutality of the massacre caused shock worldwide, but no country intervened to forcefully stop the killings. Most of the victims were killed in their own villages or towns, many by their neighbors and fellow villagers. Hutu gangs searched out victims hiding in churches and school buildings. The militia murdered victims with machetes and rifles. Sexual violence was rife, with an estimated 250,000 to 500,000 women raped during the genocide. The RPF quickly resumed the civil war once the genocide started and captured all government territory, ending the genocide and forcing the government and genocidaires into Zaire. The genocide had lasting and profound effects on Rwanda and neighboring countries. In 1996, the RPF-led Rwandan government launched an offensive into Zaire, home to exiled leaders of the former Rwandan government and many Hutu refugees, starting the First Congo War and killing an estimated 200,000 people. Today, Rwanda has two public holidays to mourn the genocide, and genocide ideology and divisionism are criminal offenses. Although the Constitution of Rwanda claims that more than 1 million people perished in the genocide, researchers state that this number is scientifically impossible and exaggerated for political reasons. The earliest inhabitants of what is now Rwanda were the Twa, a group of aboriginal pygmy hunter-gatherers who settled in the area between 8000 BC and 3000 BC, and remain in Rwanda today. Between 700 BC and 1500 AD, a number of Bantu groups migrated into Rwanda and began to clear forest land for agriculture. Historians have several theories regarding the nature of the Bantu migrations. One theory is that the first settlers were Hutu, while the Tutsi migrated later and formed a distinct racial group, possibly of Cushitic origin. An alternative theory is that the migration was slow and steady from neighboring regions, with incoming groups bearing high genetic similarity to the established ones, and integrating into rather than conquering the existing society. Under this theory, the Hutu and Tutsi distinction arose later and was not a racial one, but principally a class or caste distinction in which the Tutsi herded cattle while the Hutu farmed the land. The Hutu, Tutsi and Twa of Rwanda share a common language and are collectively known as the Banyarwanda. The population coalesced, first into clans, and then, by 1700, into around 8 kingdoms. The Kingdom of Rwanda, ruled by the Tutsi Nyagania clan, became the dominant kingdom from the mid-18th century, expanding through a process of conquest and assimilation, and achieving its greatest extent under the reign of King Kigali Rwabugiri in 1853 to 1895. Rwabugiri expanded the kingdom west and north, and initiated administrative reforms which caused a rift to grow between the Hutu and Tutsi populations. These included Uburetwa, a system of forced labor which Hutu had to perform to regain access to land seized from them, and Ubuhake, under which Tutsi patrons ceded cattle to Hutu or Tutsi clients in exchange for economic and personal service, prior to enduring colonial rule, which took place under Germany from about 1887 and then under Belgium. In 1917, Rwanda had some 18 clans defined primarily along lines of kinship. Although the terms Hutu and Tutsi were in use, they referred to individuals rather than to groups, and the distinction between them was based on lineage rather than ethnicity. In fact, one could often move from one status to another. At that time, Hutu and Tutsi were often treated differently, but they shared the same language and culture. The same clan names, same customs, and the symbols of kingship served as a powerful unifying bond between them. 421 Rwanda and neighboring Burundi were assigned to Germany by the Berlin Conference of 1884. And Germany established a presence in the country in 1897 with the formation of an alliance with the King, Germa.